from other countries here. I welcome you to India as well as to Indian Institute of Science. My institute is number 1 in the country. Academically, we are one among the top 100. And more importantly, when you enter the campus, you pass through our main gate, which is the highest point in Bangalore. So, we are not just number 1 academically, even placement wise, we are at the top of this one, okay? These are the things, and now I am going to talk about natural capital accounting and valuation of ecosystem services. So, Professor Balasubramanian wanted to introduce me. I told him that that's not required. You all know me, I am TVRAMACHANDRA, I am from Indian Society. You don't require anything else. Okay? So now I am going to tell you what we have done. That's more important. Okay? So now, you know, sometime back, 2017, I had published an article on ecosystem services in Uttara Kannada district, the district which was rich in the forest. What is the economic worth of that? Okay? So, seeing that publication, United Nations approached me asking whether I can do this analysis for 10 districts in India or 10 districts in Karnataka. I opted for Karnataka, and when I signed the MOU with the United Nations, unfortunately COVID started, so there was no way we can move around, but that helped us. So since I am in various committees and all those things, I was not traveling in the country. I was most of the time in the lab. Because of that, instead of 10 districts, we did the study for 31 districts in Karnataka. So, and that is because we had the thing, and we presented that to the United Nations. United Nations was quite happy with the thing. Then Springers came forward asking me whether they can publish our work. That is where you see the copy of the book, so which says Natural Capital Accounting and Valuation Ecosystem Services. So, please come here, or you can sit here. No, come here. So, now when we talk about, see, the objective of this is to find out the extent and condition. See, you should know what is the extent of the ecosystem, then what is the condition, then only the services comes to the picture. See, it is like this: if you are healthy, you can do many things. If you are not healthy, then you cannot do everything. So now the ecosystem condition is equivalent to the health of your body. Okay? Now we did the study, so we followed the protocol, that is SIA protocol, developed at United Nations. So the 179 countries had joined together. I was a part of it at the last phase of the framework development. See, as per the SIA framework, you need to do the ecosystem extent assessment. So now to find out if you have a forest, what is the area of the forest? First you should know. And what type of forests are there? Then the next is the ecosystem condition. What is the condition of the forest? Whether it's fragmented or encroached and that kind of thing. Okay? Then the third is the goods and services. What are the kinds of goods you get from the forest? And what are the other services provided by the forest? So now, if I take the ecosystem, let us say water body. What are the tangible benefit I get from the water bodies? See, in Indian Institute of Science, mouth has to be open when questions are asked. You have to answer. What are the goods we get from water bodies? Fish. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Water for dredging, irrigation.
Water for irrigation, very good. Then? Huh? Aquatic biodiversity. Then? You don't drink? Okay. So then Also, there are algae in the water body. You said biodiversity. There are algae in the water body. That's the carbon sequestration. And microalgae are the efficient sequesters of the carbon, which means they help also in moderating the microclimate. Now, what is the value you will assign for that? Those are the things we do in the assessment of the one. Now, essentially, society benefits from the ecosystem. Depending on the ecosystem structure, the function of the ecosystem is dependent. Okay, so which means the function of an ecosystem depends on the ecosystem structure. Functions of an ecosystem when I take, it could be the nutrient cycling, the water cycle, all those biogeochemical cycles, etc. Okay, then the third, this one, we also get recreation and other services which we call it as cultural services. So that means when you talk about ecosystem services, broadly there are three types of services. One is provisioning services, second is regulating services, third is the cultural services. Provisioning services are the services that include the tangible benefit what we get from an ecosystem. Okay, like if it is a forest ecosystem, fuel wood, timber, non-timber, forest produce, water, etc. Okay? Then regulating services include the microclimate moderation, global climate moderation, pollination, the carbon sequestration, etc. Okay? Cultural services include the recreation, aesthetic values, then the education, etc. Okay? So now we understood what is the now first job we did is the ecosystem extent. That means what is how much is the spatial extent of an ecosystem. So we did that for 10 districts to begin with, then we did it for the entire state. Okay, so now see, when we take a particular district, for example, to find out the forest, the spatial extent, we use the remote sensing data. I am sure all of you know remote sensing data. These are the pictures of the earth taken from the satellite platform. Sensors are put on the satellite. The satellite keeps revolving the earth and we get a picture of the earth. Now, for example, if you take Landsat, we get a picture of the earth at 21 days interval, at 30 days interval, and there are some sensors which we get 7 days intervals also. Now, this data is available from 1970 onwards. That means for the last 5 decades, you get a picture of the earth. Now, suppose if you have a picture of yourself 10 years back and today, what is the use of that? Huh? Sorry? Comparison, change detection, you do that. Now similarly, when I have the picture of the earth, I can also find out what is how the things are changing. Okay, spatial extent of forests are changing. Picture is worth million words. No one can manipulate. That is the advantage. Whereas numbers, depending on the minister, we change the number. If it is 1,000 the square kilometer, if minister is not comfortable, we will remove 1 0 to keep him happy. When I worked in Goa, minister, when we went for field work, we saw the tiger, but minister says there is no tiger, there are no tigers. So I don't know what is the problem with the minister, but they believe in other things than the natural. Now coming back to this, see, when we do this analysis, you will see how the things are changing, okay, from time 1, 1973 to 2010. So, when you have the picture of the earth, for example, when I take a picture of yourself like this, I use the camera, I can identify you, I can make out. But satellite is going through this, it's taking a picture of our head and shoulder. Similarly, it is taking the canopy of tree, top of the building like that. Now, I have to classify that data into various categories, forest, agriculture, etc. That is where we collect the data from the field. We go to the field, that's what you can see. my students and myself, we have gone to the field to collect the training data. See, we are collecting the training data. We divide the study region into grids. So, see, into the 5 minutes by 5 minutes grid, we have selected some representative grids. We go to the field, find out what is that place. If it is a forest, whether it's a evergreen or a deciduous or a scrub or a degraded forest. If it is agriculture, what kind of agriculture crop is grown, like that, okay? So that is called attribute data for this one. Now we collect the data, we come back to the lab, we use the machine learning algorithm to classify the remote sensing data. Okay, earlier to do the one district data, when I was a student, it used to take about 8 months to 12 months. Today, because of machine learning, my students do the analysis within 6 months. Entire Karnataka, we did it in 1 year. So that is the advantage of the advancements in the geoinformatics, machine learning algorithms and artificial intelligence. So now we also have the statistics which give us what was the various land uses from 1973 and to the latest one, and how much we have improved or degraded. See, when the forest is not in a good condition, what we do? We prepare a glossy report to impress the people. But don't do any work to improve the forest cover. Okay, I have worked in many countries in the globe. Throughout the globe, everywhere the same condition. Forests are degrading. Okay, so whether I go to China or US or the India, I notice that. Okay. Now, these are the 10 districts, initially we selected, that is depending on the agroclimatic zones. There are 11 agroclimatic zones. We took one district in each zone. So then initial field work was concentrated on those 10 districts. We collected the data and then then we did the field work for the entire Karnataka. Okay. And we analyze what is the extent of forest in the desert. So now if you see that how the forests are changing in Karnataka, you will say that, okay, the forests are can you change the pointer? You see that forests are the color of the pointer, okay. Forest which was evergreen forest which was 7.45% is today 5.08%. Okay. There is so now we know that what is the spatial extent of forest, how it was in 1970 and how it is today from this analysis. The second part we did is the condition of the ecosystem. That means what is the health of the ecosystem. See, there are various indices we compute. One is the fragmentation indices. Okay, so see, one is to find out the forest, we use the fragmentation of the forest. Okay. Before that, we also looked at as you all know, ecosystem has two components, biotic and abiotic. Okay. Abiotic includes the soil, water, surrounding air, etc. Whereas the biotic includes grasses, trees, birds, ourselves, all are part of the biotic component. Now that is what we look at when we say the health of the ecosystem. We look at the soil quality, okay, and then we have the above ground biomass, below ground biomass, carbon and soil carbon. All these plants, whether it is a grass or algae, they provide a service. One unique service they provide is the oxygen production. During the photosynthesis, they take away the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Okay, they synthesize carbon dioxide, store that synthesized carbon in the trunk and the leaves, etc., and they give the oxygen. So now, you know that how much oxygen we require every day. You give out a carbon dioxide to an extent of 540 to 980 grams per person per day. See, that young man gives carbon dioxide 980 grams. You will give out 540 grams because of the age. Okay? So, because his activities are very high with his girlfriends and all. Okay? So, you are in the saturation, that's why 540 grams per person per day. Now, that carbon what you are giving out is taken by the plant. You know, 1 hectare of forest or 1 hectare of vegetation takes away the carbon to an extent of about 7 to 9 tons per year. By that ratio, for every human being, there should have been 7 to 8 trees. Okay? So, if there is no trees, less trees in the region, there is an oxygen deficiency. Okay? Now, I talked about carbon being synthesized and stored in the trees. How do you measure the carbon that is stored in the tree? See, one is you cut a tree, weigh it. It will give biomass. 50% of that is carbon. But that is a destructive sampling. There is another method using allometric equation, we can find out the biomass. We measure the girth of a tree and height of a tree. Say, for example, if I know your girth and height, approximately I can tell you what is your weight. Similarly, for the tree, we have the relationship for that for evergreen, deciduous, etc. That is how we calculate. So, we measure the above ground biomass, below ground biomass, and we compute the carbon. And also soil carbon, we assess by taking the soil sample and analyze in our lab. Okay, we have CHN analyzer, we do that. Okay, then biotic component, we look at what kind of plants and animals are there, whether they are endemic, what is the threat status, whether critically endangered or that kind of thing. So that IUCN criteria gives us the conservation significance of that particular species. Okay, so then we have the biotic other functional element, that is net primary productivity of the forest. Okay, then fragmentation of forest we assess through the fragmentation method. And one of the other thing we also do is land surface temperature. How the temperature at the ground has changed. You know, if you remove the forest, what is the temperature of the ground? If you retain the forest, what is this one? That kind of assessment also we do that. Now as per United Nations, there are various typologies. See, they have given us how to do that. For example, if you take to assess the ecosystem condition, abiotic part, you have physical and chemical state. The physical state, you have soil structure, water availability. Chemical state, you have soil nutrient, water quality, air pollutant concentration. Okay. Then biotic part, you have the species-based criteria. What are the kinds of species that are there? You know, both flora and fauna. Flora means plants, fauna means animals. Okay. Then we also have the structural state characteristic where we have vegetation, biomass, etc. Then functional state, net primary productivity. How do you assess net primary productivity? You will find out what is the quantum of the fallen leaves, fallen branches, etc. Every year how much we get it. You know, that is what is used for mulching, that is also used as a fuel wood, etc. Okay. So then at landscape level, we do the fragmentation analysis and the land surface temperature assessment. Okay. Now we understood how do you assess the condition of the ecosystem. See, if you go to the doctor will use thermometer, I use land surface temperature. Doctor will use stethoscope, I use the other this one. But I am assessing the condition of the ecosystem. Okay. So now I have the fragmentation of the forest. I know where the forests are intact, where forests are fragmented, you know, the porous or the patch forest, etc. That shows the degradation of the forest. Intact forest means everywhere trees are there. The forest means there are some trees are there, some vacant spaces are also there. Okay. Now this gives the temperature. You see that with the decline in the forest cover in the region, you see there is an increase in temperature. Red color is increasing, which means the temperature is going up. So that is one of the consequences of that. That means if the temperature increases, you may have to use air conditioner, fan, all those things. That means your cost goes up. So you see the entire region, it consists of forest, it consists of agriculture. Green are the forest, yellow is the agriculture land. Okay. Then, as I said earlier, we have divided entire state into 5 minutes by 5 minutes grid, or 9 kilometer by 9 kilometer. In each 9 kilometer, see now you see the grid here. In that grid, what is the grassland? What is the spatial extent of grassland? How much grass I get? What is the biomass I compute? Similarly, the trees. In that grid, I'll find out how many trees are there, then find out what is the carbon, etc. That's how we have computed above ground biomass here. This is below ground biomass, that is root portion of the tree, and this is a soil carbon. Okay. So now, when you look at this, see this includes the above ground biomass, below ground biomass, and soil carbon for 1985, 2005, and 2019. Similarly, our field work has provided what kind of plants are there in Karnataka, which are endemic. Okay, that distribution also we have, and animals. The animals, maybe your tigers, elephants, and all those things. We have done the mapping of that. Okay, and this gives the net primary productivity. Okay, and then in addition to that, we have also, our country is rich in data, soil data. When the government of India started in 2014 or 15, one good thing that did was the soil health card at the block level. Every block level, we know what is the health of the soil. Now I have got that data for my analysis, which is available in public domain. So which provides what is the nutrient level, NPK and micronutrient like zinc and other micronutrients also we got it from the zinc. Okay, and then we also have the other the physical parameter like pH and electrical conductivity, etc. Now we know what is the condition of the health in the 2005 and 2019. So which we used for this analysis to say whether the forest has degraded or the result. We have made 3 levels: high, medium, low, and this is in 2005, this is in 2020. So that gives an idea whether the soil is degrading in the region. Okay, now if soil is degraded, if it is not fertile, then you do not have the higher productivity. Okay. So now see, you have got for one district, the analysis that is done, considering all the results. See, abiotic, we have looked at the soil health, then biotic, the plants and animals, then we have the structure state, above ground biomass, below ground biomass, then functional state, net primary productivity. Then we have looked at the condition of the forest through the fragmentation and LSD. We have given the weight to that, and we assess the condition at 3 levels: high, medium, low. Now when you look at, you see from the 2005 to 2020 when we go, so we are losing the height, which is moving from high level to the medium or low level. So that is the kind of the change that is happening. That means there is a degradation of the ecosystem is happening in the region. Okay. Now the third part is the valuation of the ecosystem services. Now for your information, Karnataka is good with the data. You look at, we have biodiversity portal. One of the good things my generation did is we built the database. I will show you at the end, okay? When you look at my website, I have created a decision support system so that you can sit in Delhi or Tanjavur, you can find out what is the condition of the forest in Karnataka, okay? Huh?
Karnataka is different from other states.
Well, we have to make other states. No, we have to make other parts of the globe also like that. See, why the science is for the benefit of society. If one part of the globe is benefited, we should make other parts also to be benefited. Okay. So now I have come to the next ecosystem services. Like I asked the question, what is the worth of your mother? Now I have taken up the three. This one. One is the forest. Second is the agriculture. Third is the wetlands. Okay. So see, what is our protocol? As I said earlier, the services, I have 3 types as per the SIA framework: provisioning services, regulating services, and cultural services. Provisioning services is the tangible benefit. You know how much timber you get from the forest. what is the kind of the grains you get from the agriculture field. Okay? Then you know the market price, and also you know the cost of producing it. For example, timber. When you extract timber, there is a labor cost and transportation cost. Market price minus the cost is called the benefit. Okay? And that is what is called residual value. We have used the residual value method to quantify or to account the services of the tangible goods like timber, fuel wood, and non-timber forest produce, fodder, water, etc. Then coming to the regulating services. You know, regulating services is a long-term, requires a long-term monitoring of the ecosystem. In my study of 1 year, I cannot do the regulating services. What I will do is, someone else have done the experiment. If they have done in the similar ecosystem, some similar climatic zone, I will use that value. I adapt that value to my condition, and that is called benefit transfer method. Okay, that is what we have used for the regulating services. Third one is a cultural services. Since we work with the forest and agriculture, etc. in Karnataka, we had the data. What is the recreation survey and what is the kind of the research people do, how much money they spend, etc. Okay. Now, combination of these three is the total ecosystem supply value. Sir, you are telling total economic value, no? That's similar to that. Total ecosystem supply value, which is provisioning services plus regulating services plus cultural services. So now we know that per year, what is the total ecosystem supply value? Okay. Now, see, if I keep 1,000 rupees in a bank at 10% interest, I'll get 100 rupees. Now to get 100 rupees, I have to keep 1,000 rupees in a bank. Okay. Similarly, if I am getting the services worth per year, TSV of that, then what is the net present value, NPV of that asset? We calculate that, okay? So that is what finally we have done. This total ecosystem supply value is also called gross ecological product. You know, you all know gross domestic product. See, the anomaly of the gross domestic product is that it does not take into account the degradation that happens in the system with the developmental project. We take only what we get out of the project, but what is the damage that happened, we didn't account. If you account the degradation cost in your GDP, that GDP is called green GDP. That is what is required in a country for the prosperity, so that you will also take care of the forest, you will also have the industry. Otherwise, it becomes a one-sided thing as it is happening now. So, okay, now to summarize what I said, see, I have the provisioning services. These are the goods, the data we got, either from our field work or from the forest department, we collected the data, or from the government agency. Okay, we use the residual value method to quantify the service value. Okay, then regulating services, these are the regulating services like soil fertility, the pollination, air filtration, etc. we looked at, and we use the benefit transfer method. Okay, then the third is the cultural services. We have, they use this aesthetic and the spiritual and historic. See, suppose you have the national park or a sanctuary. What is the value of that national park? How do you assess that? How do you assess that? You will find out what is the money you collect in the national park or a zoo every year, and how many people visit, from where all they come, what is their travel cost, etc. That's what we use the travel cost method to quantify the services of some of the which are of importance of cultural values. Okay. So now we understood how we compute total ecosystem supply value. So I'll go one by one, take up the data. Okay. For example, if I take provisioning services, we have quantified timber, bamboo, non-timber forest produce fodder for the year 2005 as well as 2019. Then I have adjusted 2005 price to the 2019 so that I can compare across the 2 years, taking into account your inflation and all those things. Okay. So now this data was available in the forest department, and we just collected whatever data was available in the forest department ledger, then we cross-verified through the questionnaire survey. We collected data from the field. Okay, that's how we did it. Similarly, fuel wood is again that data is available in the forest department, but we also did some experiment, plot level experiment to find out how many headloads people carry in that particular village and what is the per capita, per person per day the fuel wood requirement. Since we know the population in the region and percentage of people using the fuel wood, we could quantify that. Okay. Then fish and other aquatic product, we got it from the Department of Fisheries. We have accounted the inland fisheries. When we talk about forest, what are the water bodies that are there in the forest area? What is the fish we get? We got it from the fishery department. Then water supply, we quantified considering the rainfall and land use in the region. There are models available. So otherwise there are the, earlier we were quantifying using empirical formula. Today there are invest models like invest where you can quantify using the rainfall data. Okay. So then we have looked at the medicine. The Karnataka, we have the medicine authority. That they have all the data about the district wide, what kind of plants and animals which have medicinal value in there. So we know the quantum of that. Okay, because we also have something called access and benefit sharing, where the companies which extract these resources from the forest, they have to pay the royalty to the government. So that's how we have then also genetic material service. We know what are the species in the region. Approximately we know the gene value of that also. Okay. So then we looked at the agriculture ecosystem, which is rather simple and easy because agriculture data is available, the yield of the crop, spatial extent of the crop, and such data are available from various government departments. We just collected that data. Okay. And as far as the agriculture, we have the market price, something called MSP, given to the farmer. We use that and we know what is the cost of production and transportation, etc. from the agriculture department. So we use the residual value to quantify the agriculture services. Okay. Then we have the fodder, wood, etc. from the agriculture sector. Then, as I said, the method what we use, the residual value, I have already explained you the residual value, which is also the rental, this one they say. Okay. Now let's look at how we did this quantification. For example, the timber quantity was collected from the forest department, and there is something called seigniorage value that is available in the forest department. Every the division, they fixes the seigniorage value, which is the benefit out of the timber, what they sell and what is the cost of that. The difference is called seigniorage value, which we got from the forest department. Okay, that's how we quantified what is the timber and what is the kind of the ecosystem. There are various kinds of timbers are there, like rosewood, the teak and eucalyptus, like that. For each of the things, the data was available in the forest department, which we cross-verified with the field data also. Okay. So then, if you take bamboo, again similar to the timber we did, non-timber forest produce, which is slightly tricky. The forest department value doesn't show the true picture. Fortunately, a couple of researchers in Karnataka have done the study. So we use that data to quantify what is the quantum of non-timber forest produce, like spices, etc., come from the various types of the forest. Okay. Then we have the fish and others, what we got from the fishery department. Further again, we know from remote sensing data, we know what is the kind of the grass that are available, quantum of grass, and also we know what the farmers pay when they buy the grasses for fodder. Okay, so that value we have used for that. Okay, so like that we have done for water, medicine and genetic material. Okay, so and then regulating services, as I said earlier, we use the benefit transfer method. after my talk, two of my students are going to present. We have taken up a small study region where we are quantifying the regulating services ourselves. So everywhere people are telling that India relevant values are not available. We are trying to minimize that gap. If time permits, we will do that analysis, the presentation after my presentation. Okay. So like that, see the pollination services again. The controlled experiments were done closer to the forest. Okay, what is the yield of the crop and what kind of the pollinating species, like what species of the insect that come and do the pollination, and away from forest, what is the yield of the crop and what kind of species come. Then the difference between these two regions will give the pollination service for the forest ecosystem. Okay, so that is what we have done. So in that district. Okay. Then we have the water purification and water treatment, air filtration services. These are all based on the other experiment. We have adopted the value which is a benefit transfer method. Okay. Then coming to the culture service, since we have done we have been working on sacred groves in Karnataka and forest ecosystem, we have our own data of the cultural services. In fact, I have published over a period of time about the services provided by this patch of forest, etc. That we have used to find out the worth of the cultural services provided by the forest. Okay. So now they are spiritual and historic. These are the various things. Then education and research. In the forest department we have a system where we have to get the approval to enter the forest. At that time, what kind of funding we have got and what kind of research we do in the forest. That the value we have considered to quantify the education, science and research, and also as a part of environmental education program, how many school and college students visit and what is the value of that. We have accounted that. Okay. Now combination of all those things, provisioning, regulating and cultural services is the total ecosystem supply value. Now we know what kind of services provided by this ecosystem, forest and agriculture every year. Okay. Now from that I compute what is the asset value in terms of the NPV. Okay. So see, similarly for agriculture we have done the land use analysis. Okay. We collected data from the government as well as we carried out some public interviews also. Then we have computed what is the kind of the provisioning, regulating and cultural services, something equivalent to the forest we have done. Okay. Rather the agriculture, the data is available, it's rather easy compared to the forest ecosystem. Okay. So that's what we have done. Now based on that we have computed what is the NPV. Assuming that forest ecosystem, the life is about 50 years, and as per the Supreme Court norm, for renewable resources, the discount rate is 4%. Non-renewable, it is the 2%. We have taken the average of both the renewable and non-renewable. We have considered 3% for the NPV computation, and that's what we have done it. We computed NPV of the forest. Okay. So now, when you take the forest ecosystem, see the forest goods are available circle wise. The forest administration has divided the forest into the 6 or 7 circles. Each circle we got what kind of the goods, etc. So now you can see that for each circle we have got the rosewood, then the teak wood for the 2 time period, say 2005, 2020. So similarly eucalyptus, then softwood, etc. Okay. Then we have done this computation, and now it gives the provisioning, regulating and cultural services. Aggregation of that gives a district-wise total ecosystem supply value, which shows that the total ecosystem supply value was 2,894 billion rupees per year in 2005 at 2019 price is about 1,835 billion rupees. The services provided forest ecosystem has come down with the time, which is directly proportional to the loss of forest or deforestation that has happened in the system. Now, see, similarly for agriculture ecosystem, we have computed what is the total the provisioning services, regulating services, etc. Okay. Then both agriculture and forest, we have computed district wise and found out what is the share of that in each district. What is the share of provisioning, regulating and cultural services. You see that regulating services is a significant component of the ecosystem services. Okay. So then we have, based on the TSV, we have computed net primary, the NPV, net present value of the forest. Okay. Now this gives the how the TSV is changing from time 2001, 2005 to 2019 or 20. Okay. So the changes we have captured. Okay. And this gives the TSV of the forest and the agriculture, and this is the total because we have used the terrestrial ecosystem, these two components, forest and agriculture. Agriculture includes the cropland and the horticulture. We have used that this, okay. So see, now the token is being given. That is also indirectly gives the value of this one. When I give that token in the cafeteria, I will get the food. For the food that is given to me, I have to pay. How much I have to pay depends on the number of tokens he has collected. Okay, that is how the services are accounted. Okay. So now we have also computed what is the TSV to the GDP ratio. You know, every district we have something called gross district domestic product. Okay. So we have computed that what is the ratio. You see, wherever forests are there, we see that the contribution from the forest and agriculture is more than 100%, which is not accounted. For example, one of the district in Karnataka, Uttara Kannada district, which I showed, when I did the quantification of the tangible benefit, every year, you know, in terms of timber, fuel wood, it amounts to about 9,600 crores per year. If I add oxygen or a carbon sequestration, it becomes 12,000 crores per year. And if I add the wild fruit, which are there which is used by wild animals, based on our field experiment, when we quantify, it becomes 15,000 crores. Now when I look at GDP of the district, GDP of the district is 5,800 crores. See, when I do only forest, I am getting 9,000 to 15,000 crores. But GDP of the district shows the 5,600 or 800 crores. Then I was curious. I asked the concerned district, the DC, you know, the official in the thing. Then he called the concerned caseworker to find out how much is that share from the forest sector. You know, they said 180 crores. Then I became more curious. What is this 180 crore? The person says that we have accounted only the fuel wood. They have not even accounted timber, now NTFP, etc. See, this undervaluation of the services lead to the degradation of the forest ecosystem. See, since they show 180 crores, I get 10% of that for the district development program, 8 to 10%. Had I shown 9,000 crore or 15,000 crore, I would have got still more. That's where I have been emphasizing at various circles with the Prime Minister and all, that we need to move toward the green GDP. We need to come out with a better accounting framework, etc. in the system. Okay. So now, to summarize what I said, this gives the total ecosystem supply value in terms of provisioning, regulating, cultural services. You see that forest ecosystem, 2,841 billion rupees per year has come down to 1,835 billion rupees per year. When you look at agriculture, which was 778 billion rupees per year, has improved to 1,077 billion rupees per year. Because forests are converted into agriculture land. Naturally, there is a higher this one. That's what has happened in the system. Okay, and then per hectare value we have computed forest, agriculture, etc. See, this will also help in assessing the ecological compensation. Suppose a part of the forest is diverted for industrial project. How much the industry has to pay, they can use this per hectare value of this one to say that they have to compensate that. These are used for ecological compensation. That's why we computed the per hectare value. Then as I said earlier, we also computed NPV. See, if you look at forest ecosystem, at 2005, at 2019 value, it is about 73,000 billion rupee, has come down to 47,000 billion rupee. This is directly proportional to the 35% reduction in the forest cover. Okay, so then we have done the other statistical analysis. Okay, so we see this is the water bodies in Karnataka, and we have done the NPV of the water bodies. Now see, there are 39,000 water bodies in Karnataka. In fact, Sinsi and Sulabha are the one who did this study. So we know what is the per hectare value. It works out to be about 1 million rupee per hectare per year is the kind of the service we provided by this one. Okay. Now I am answering the last part of the question, scenario based. See, we have used there are 5 scenarios we have used. You know, base case scenario, agent based scenario, then reserve forest production scenario, afforestation, and there is something called the sustainable development scenario. See, for that, what we did is we used the modeling, so to say what is the likely land use, and see, these are the constraints and the agent we use, and we projected what is the land use in the year 2033. Okay, then we have also done the services, this one. So now among this, it shows that SDP is the better scenario. That means when you implement the developmental project, if you also take up the restoration of the ecosystem and afforestation, then you are not damaging the system. That is what the last scenario shows. Okay. Now that's what is the thing. And after this, we had a consultation with the various people at the thing. You can see that with the local people as well as the government, I have interacted in various forums. So now this gives the photographs of the various forum where we had the thing, and this is the concluding part. Okay, now coming to the one. Okay, you said how I take it forward. Madam, advocacy and decision making. See, we have developed the decision support system, okay, wherein you can visualize the eco-sensitiveness of the region, okay, at the village level. You can select the village, okay, so you can select the state, then the district, then taluk and the village. You can visualize that, okay? That's one thing we have done. Similarly for Bangalore, we have done Bangalore Urban Information System, which gives the, what happened? Internet is not working. Okay, we will go to the Bangalore Lake Information System. See, similarly the lakes of Bangalore, lake-wise, it gives the details about what is the water quality of each lake, what kind of algae is there, what is the fish, what is the economic worth of the lake, what part of the lake is encroached. Even those maps we have provided to you can get the details from the web page. Okay, that's how it gets into the advocacy, for the advocacy and decision making. It is being used by the government also. The government committee came to my lab to understand these things, and there was a question in the parliament. Okay, that's how it has taken to the next level. And many activists use this data for the legal remedies.